On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, the past is where it's at. Now we focus on the now. And now, DeMeco wants more sacks out of his players. And how can the Houston Texans rebound against the god-awful Jacksonville Jaguars?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
To this Wednesday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to all of our first-time listeners and viewers. If this is your first time watching or listening to the Locked On Texan podcast, please enjoy the show. Also, subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. And shout out to our everydayers, our players from the Himalaya. We really appreciate you guys coming back. You've made this week, this season, and our run of covering the Houston Texans so much easier because you guys are killing it. So thank you to our everydayers, man. I'm your Texans football analyst, John, some sports guy Hickman. On the other side of the screen, all the way up in Detroit, still holding it down for the South, Cody Davis. Listen, before we talk Texans, I just want to give some advice. If you go fight at these stadiums, make sure you win the fight because it's already a lose-lose situation. Even if you win, you could be banned from going back to that stadium. But if you lose the fight, now you're on social media. Now you're viral. Now you can't go back to a stadium and you lost the fight. So word to the wise, if you're not going to for sure win the fight, just walk away. Walk away. Take it away.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fighting going on 3 weeks into the 2024 season, I must say.
People are mad.
Oh, my goodness. Come on now, y'all. But on this Wednesday installment of Locked On Texans, we will, finally put Sunday's game in the past and finally look ahead. We're going to close out with the YouTube comments because you guys been killing it in the comment section. So we definitely, a little bit early than what we normally like to do it, but we definitely want to highlight some of our favorite comments over the last couple of days. And then we're going to look at Sunday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And my God, they are 0-3, but they look worse than an 0-3 team, John. But we're going to talk about how can the Houston Texans bounce back against the Jazz. However, I want to open up this show talking about something that I thought was one of, if not the best version of the Houston Texans 3 games into the season, but Coach DeMeco Ryans wants more. As everybody knows, the Houston Texans defensive line, front four, has really done a good job at not only stopping the run, but also getting after the quarterback. Through the first 3 games of the 2024 campaign, the Houston Texans have accounted for 13 sacks in the loss against the Minnesota Vikings, which I thought probably was the only thing that the Houston Texans did good in Sunday's loss, was the fact that they got after Sam Darnold 15 times and was able to record not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 sacks. However, Coach DeMeco Ryans, he wants more.
Russ, I thought we had good rush at times where we were around the quarterback, but we didn't finish as much as we needed to. The coverage piece was there. It was a sloppy day on both ends. We had some really good rushes, and then the coverage wasn't right. We had good coverage, and then the rush didn't get the quarterback down. So I like the way our guys played. We just got to be able to finish around the quarterback better.
You know what I love so much about this statement, John, listeners and viewers? It kind of reminds me of last year around the bye week when the Houston Texans, we thought that they had done a really good job at getting after the quarterback. And they was, I want to say, top 5, top 10 in pressures, but they was around the middle of the pack in sacks. And Coach DeMeco Ryans got up there and said, look, I understand that we have done, a decent job as of right now at disrupting the other team's quarterback. But he went up there and said, look, it's not enough. We need to make sure we go out there and finish. And then in the second half of last season, the Houston Texans became one of the best teams at getting after the opposing team quarterback. And when you take a look at the numbers from last year, they ranked top 10 in sacks. John, I'm excited for this because now when we look at how can the Houston Texans move forward, what can the Houston Texans take that they did good through the first 3 games and improve upon that? Getting after the quarterback and finishing with sacks is at the top of this list for this organization, which means a defense that I already think is damn good is going to get 10 times better.
So they are getting after the quarterback. I think for DeMeco Ryans, and if I'm wrong, I would love to be called out on it one day. But I think for him going back and maybe watching some of that film against the Minnesota Vikings, it goes right back to a couple of plays, but the biggest play that stands out is the Justin Jefferson touchdown. On that play, Sam Darnold had about 5 to 6 seconds. And you have a defensive line who traditionally, DeMeco doesn't like to really blitz a lot, which is why the Chicago Bears game was kind of shocking a little bit, but they also were going up against a bad offensive line, a rookie quarterback, so you want to cause that pressure to throw him off his game. But they don't blitz a lot. They counter their front four. And when you allow a quarterback that also has Justin Jefferson at his disposal 5 to 6 seconds, somebody's going to come open, right? And he talked about, we got good pressure, but the coverage wasn't there. Got good coverage, but the pressure wasn't there. This is a team with a head coach that wants to create pressure based off of who he has in their front four. And right now, no DeMeco Autry. We know that he's going to be a big addition to that front. Also, when Christian Harris comes back, those two guys are slated to come back. Well, Christian Harris is slated to come back in 2 weeks. Not Mario Edwards, excuse me. DeMeco Autry has about 4 more weeks. But those guys are going to be important to creating that pressure, especially DeMeco Autry, for a coach that wants to get pressure with 4 down linemen. That's just what it is. And so I think for him, 13 is a good number to be sitting at through 3 weeks. How many missed sacks? And how many times did a defender get back there on crucial downs to force a team into 3rd and long or to get off the field, and they were not able to do so? So I think for DeMeco, it's always going to be about how can we be better. And for a team with these expectations, and they may not admit it, but they know it's there, we got 13 sacks. How can we be sitting at 17? How can we be at top of the league at sacks? Because we have the talent to do so. I think it's going to be interesting to see if they change things. But I think right now, man, 13 is a good number to be sitting at through 3 weeks. You're averaging 4 sacks a game through 3 weeks. So I think for him, more so just when the pressure is there, we also need the coverage to complement it as well.
We talk about the Houston Texans getting more sacks, but now it's time for us to talk about how can the Houston Texans rebound and keep the Jacksonville Jaguars winless in Sunday's game. More of Locked On Texans coming up.
And I also want to tell you, NFL fans, you Texan fans, about the big return that FanDuel is giving you guys. And, of course, FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. When you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with a $200 gift and bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet with FanDuel.com. So visit FanDuel.com, that's FanDuel.com, to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed whenever you place a $5 bet your first time.
The Jaguars would be a really, really good team to go against. I mean, with Doug Peterson, Super Bowl head coach, he knows offensive football. He knows how to deploy his guys in the proper way. They can be an explosive attack, especially downfield with the new guys that they've added. Always respect the running back ETN, just with the running game, also in the screen game. They do a really great job of executing on the screens. So we have to be dialed in. We get this one out, bad game flushed out of our system, but we're excited to have a division opponent coming into our house and see how we respond.
Stop the cap, DeMeco. No, just like welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Wednesday installment of Locked On Texans. Look, we all know Sunday's game was bad. Now it's time for the Houston Texans to bounce back against the Jacksonville Jaguars. John, listeners and viewers, I do understand that the Houston Texans have always had the upper hand against Jacksonville. As of right now, Jacksonville following a 47-10 loss to the Buffalo Bills. My God, that was embarrassing. You're looking at a situation where the Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-3. We know that they're going to be desperate to record their first victory of the season. I say all that just to say, even though everything looks bad for Jacksonville as of right now. I think this could literally be a quote unquote trap game for the Houston Texans, because not only will the Texans go into this game as, heavily favored, even with the events that took place on Sunday, the Houston Texans are still the better team, have the better quarterback, have the better head coach, and everything else in between. Like I mentioned, Jacksonville is going to try everything possible to try to get their first victory of the season. And even though I know things are not good in Jacksonville right now, I still respect their head coach, who's a Super Bowl winning head coach. Still respect their quarterback, even though right now he's not making me look good when I beating on this table saying that he was top 10 at that position. Not making me look good right now, but I still respect them. And you also got to consider that this is a team, just like the Houston Texans, added a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball, and they're still trying to figure things out. And I do not want to see a situation where Jacksonville come inside NRG Stadium with you sitting up there next to Big Sarge and everybody else, come inside NRG Stadium and literally get a dub.
What they doing inside of NRG Stadium?
Getting a dub.
Oh, I thought you didn't want to see them do something else inside NRG Stadium.
I mean, hey, number 4 ain't here no more. So, you know what? I was about to say something. Don't even worry about it. Anyway, what I don't want to happen to see, the Houston Texans, a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars come inside their home stadium and get a first victory of the season. And it'll be a game where Jacksonville finally put it together. Then we go through a whole nother week scratching our heads, thinking to ourselves, what can the Houston Texans do to improve their performance?
Back to life. Back to reality, back to life, back to scoring points, back to touchdowns, back to CJ orchestrating a top 5 offense in the league. However do you want it, however do you need it, however do you score it, however do you pass the ball. Let's talk about what it takes for the Houston Texans to get back, and I'm still jamming. Rebound against the Jaguars. You know what? It really, to me, it comes down to finding a new way to win. Okay, like Tuesday's show, hey, Houston does very well offensively if they're able to run the ball. Over 200 yards in their first game. They played a team with an up and down quarterback. They played a team with an up and down 7. They played a team with an up and down secondary. Ran the ball for over 200 yards. Scored 29 points. Next week, you go up against a better front 4, didn't run the ball as well, still was able to win that game by the hairs of your chin, but the defense played amazing. This week, didn't run the ball well at all, and you weren't able to get your offense going. So for me, it's all about establishing a new way to get your offense in rhythm, a new way to get your offense going, a new way to get your offense comfortable, and a new way to just say, hey, you know what? I got a dynamic quarterback that can win me games. Case in point, Tampa Bay. Case in point, the Bengals last year. Like for the Houston Texans, and man, we talked about Bobby Slork a lot over the last couple of days, and I think rightfully so. But for this team, rebounding versus the Jags, I think it has to be an offensive output. We just saw the Buffalo Bills, granted, right now led by the right now MVP and Josh Allen.
Yeah, he is. 3 games in. Yes, he is.
No doubt about it, right? They just put up 47 points. And you look at what the Jacksonville Jaguars struggled with. Man, I saw the guys just scoring from one side of the field to the other side of the field. Right? Do you not got guys that can do that? Yeah, you got Tank Dell. Yeah, you got Stephon. Yeah, you got Nico who can run a deep dig and yards a pop, right? Yeah, you need to find ways to get a role for John Mechie in that offense. So whenever the run isn't there, don't allow your quarterback to go through his own progressions to get comfortable within that offense. And I think for CJ, through 6 quarters, maybe 7, right? But for sure, for 6 quarters, he has not looked as comfortable as we expecting him to look going into year 2 of being in this offense. So, yeah, back to life, score points, back to reality. Get Nico and take the ball, right? That's how you can get it going. And when you're playing a team as bad as the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, if Houston wins and they open 0-4, I don't think Doug Peterson is going to be there on Monday.
That's
We
true.
may get early Black Monday. And I'm glad we're going to the YouTube comments because my man, Molten Metal 5645, my man said if the Texans don't curb stomp the Jags, it's going to be a long, disappointing season. And I kind of agree with that. Like, I need to see at least 3 scores because defensively, I think they're going to bring it. I think they're going to bring it.
They have been bringing it. The last 3 games they brought it.
Like, if you look at that
That's
Minnesota
offense,
game,
though.
outside of those, when they went up 14-0 quick, man, it was punt, to close the half. Houston offense wasn't able to do anything to get it close. Now, of course, false starts, illegal formations, the penalties played a role, but offensively, they have been shut out for 6 quarters now. Get it going by getting the offense rolling. Get it going by opening up opportunities for your playmakers to be able to make plays. And I don't think we need to see as many long developed route concepts as much. Just get it out there, dink and dunk it a little bit to kind of breathe. Just breathe and then flow. And then stay with me, sing it with me. Back to life. Back to passing TDs. Back to.
We can't change up the lyrics on me, man.
How do you want it? Over. However do you score it? However do you pass it? However do you run the ball? That's you see, just get the flow going. And then you'll see, I think, a potent offense. Today's show is also sponsored and brought to you by BetterHelp. What's something that you love to learn as an adult? Do you make time to learn new things as often as you like to? Or is that an element in your life that you lost in childhood? It shouldn't be. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. Therapy can help you reconnect with that sense of wonder, sense of love, sense of purpose, because your back to school era can come at any age. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suitable to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and therapist at any time. You rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Before we close out today's show, short show, we're diving into the YouTube comments. I already told you guys about the one where if the Houston Texans don't curb stomp the Jags, it's going to be a long, disappointing season. I got another one, man, from my man Jarrell Scott, 5203. Tunsil's punishment. Make Tunsil write on the chalkboard. I would not false start. 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 I know this is the NFL. This is the pro league. This ain't high school. This ain't middle school. But fans are wondering, like, okay, what can the Texans do to hold Tunsil more accountable?
Like I've been saying, man, take away his vet days. That's literally the only logical explanation, because you're not going to bench him. And I know I saw some people talking about bench him for Blake Fisher. Look, I think Blake Fisher is going to be a pretty good player in this league, but that young man is not ready.
Time.
He is not ready. And look, we talking about the Houston Texans. What he said, curb stomping the Jacksonville Jaguars, how they going to bounce back and all that other stuff. Like I said over the last 2 days, I understand a lot of people are frustrated with Laremy Tunsil, but at the end of the day, you cannot take away that man's skill set, and you cannot take away that man is still a damn good left tackle whenever he gets, the snap count correct. But other than that, that's basically it, man. Look, and if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm looking at it from the standpoint, in 3 games, you got 10 penalties. Out of those 10 penalties, 7 or 8 been false starts. No more vet days for the next couple of weeks. You need to get your butt out there on the line of scrimmage and learn where and how to line up so we won't have these issues no more. So that's literally the only logical excuse. No trading him, no benching him, no none of that.
One of the things that I saw in Monday's episode, and I don't think I've ever seen this before.
I don't
know if you even recognize it. What I'm about to say. The amount of other team fans in the comment section.
No. I never saw that before.
So Monday's show, But you guys did amazing. I mean, thank you guys for all of the support. Monday's show had so many Vikings fans in there, and they came in y'all trap and took over y'all trap. I'm just say that. But the common theme with a lot of the Viking fans, hey man, the Vikings are a good team, and they have an incredible defense,
Yeah,
and
they do.
have the players to make that defense incredible. So I just want to take time and say, you know what, guys, Cody, we've both done it. We can overlook teams, and this is still the NFL, right? I think in a large part we're overlooking the Jags a little bit. But I think we did a little bit with the Vikings. And if this team is going to be the team that we expect for them to be, they can't be like us. They can't overlook nobody. They got to respect who they got to respect, who's in front of them. And the fact remains is, Viking fans, you guys are right. Man, y'all are a damn good team with an excellent defense.
Yeah, they are, man. Shocked the hell out of me. They probably came due to. I'm not gonna say that I took them. I'm not gonna say that I said that they was overrated when I did the crossover show with our guy Luke. But what I will say,
Vikings, they all up in here, man.
But what I would say is, I guess for me, I was looking at it from a standpoint of Sam Darnold. I know a lot of people are loving what they're seeing out of Sam Darnold right now, but I always say this is not the first time we see Sam Darnold have a good start to his career. I mean, good start to the season. I remember back in, I want to say 2021, I want to say maybe 2022, he had a 3-1 start when he was the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, if I'm not mistaken, a 2-1. Looked really good, and halfway through the season, he got benched. Same thing in New York. There was a season in New York where he started really, really good. Next thing you know, halfway through the season, he got benched. So, I guess for me, I was looking at it from a standpoint, is Sam Darnold the truth? Because regardless of whether the Houston Texans have a Super Bowl winning year or they just disappoint everybody and they don't make the playoffs, everybody knows CJ Stroud is still the truth. That's the one thing you always going to be able to fall back on. As for the Minnesota Vikings, I was looking at it from a standpoint, is Sam Darnold a guy that can actually go out there and make plays against a defense in the Houston Texans who are already considered to be, top 10 in this league? And look, rightfully so, he did his job. So I can't say nothing about it.
Yeah, can't do that, man. My man Noah Perez, 5074. Cody, I'm going to get this right over to you. What's wrong with John Mechie? He's been inactive for 3 straight games. Anything you want to share? I want to share that, maybe the team is needing more from him in special teams, in that role from him.
Yeah,
because remember when I text you, I was like, hey, man, Robert Woods out there on kick return?
Exactly.
That was kind of weird for me.
Look, I mean, and that's the reality of the situation, man. It's a number game at the end of the day. I mean, look, the Houston Texans are dressing 6 wide receivers. You're looking at Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. So that's your main 3 right there. You're gonna have Xavier Hutchinson, Woods, and Sims. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Xavier Hutchinson, the latter half of those 3 wide receivers are giving you something on special teams. And like I mentioned when we was doing the 53-man roster preview show, Steven Sims is going to make this team because he's their primary kick returner. And that's exactly the role that he kind of carved out. So, the Texans are not going to dress 7 wide receivers. And like I mentioned, the latter of those 3 is giving you something on special teams. I don't know if it's something, I'm pretty sure that's what it's boiling down to. Can John Mechie give you something on special teams? Look, Tank Dell, as far as I'm concerned, he's still dealing with a rib injury. We'll see if he's going to be out there on practice later today and through the rest of this week. And if he's not able to go, then we're going to see a situation where they're going to finally give John Mechie an opportunity. But I must say, man, the start of John Mechie's career, man, it's been heartbreaking, bro. You're talking about a guy that was one of my favorite wide receivers coming out. Very excited when the Houston Texans had an opportunity to draft him. And after that, man, we're not about to get into everything else, but we all know his story. It's been heartbreaking, man. It literally has been heartbreaking to see. And hopefully he gets an opportunity soon.
I wonder if John Mechie is a player that can be a part of a piece of a trade to upgrade this team by the trade deadline. Maybe secondary.
I think so.
Maybe I don't know, maybe in a run game. I don't know, but maybe I'm not sure. But if that's the case, I think it would be the perfect week to give him an opportunity to audition himself. Before we close out, I think the common theme for the Houston Texan fans through 2 days and now 3 in the comments, somebody tell Larry Tunsil we want our money back. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast. 20 years ago, it was Kelvin Cato. Now Larry Tunsil.
You better not ever put Larry Tunsil in the same boat as Kelvin Cato.
I'm not. Well,
the best thing Kelvin Cato did was have his salary match in order for us to get Tracy McGrady. Plain and simple. That's the best thing he did.
Fans right now, they want their money back. I've said that for years. I'm saying everybody in Houston right now, whether you got the Braves or the Fays, you want your money back. But thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment to the podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at John_Hickman12.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody M. Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, that's Cody COTYDAVIS_24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.